Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Baseball family, welcome to the final episode of 2024 of the Baseball Together podcast. You know, we've always felt like the best way to round out the year is by revisiting each guest with what we call a rundown of rundowns. So we've compiled the rundowns from our 17 first-time guests this year and put them right here for you in one spot. Most of the conversation is surrounding one of our favorite questions this year: is Babe Ruth overly romanticized? So sit back, relax, enjoy, and we will catch you next week.
We have Patrick Montgomery here with us today, and we're going to get you his bio here in just a moment. But first things first, he's going to get caught in a rundown just like everybody else.
Let's go.
Welcome to the show, Patrick. What is your quest?
My quest is to enjoy baseball, tell it, and shoot below a 90 every round of golf.
Fabulous.
That's a solid quest there at the end. I would never be able to do that.
No.
Okay, next question. What is your favorite color?
Blue. As you can tell behind me, I love any shade of blue. Coast Guard blue, Savannah blue, whatever it is.
That's awesome. Now, we talked about this earlier, but you, sir, have excellent taste in baseball. And
you as well, sir.
Thank you. If the Yankees were a beverage, in your opinion, what would they be?
Well, I would normally say coffee, because coffee is an everyday quality luxury item. So actually, upon further thought, yes, I'll say coffee. It's always there.
Nice.
It's there first thing in the morning. You can have it with lunch. Heck, even for dinner after dessert. It's there all the time, and it's always excellent.
I love that.
Okay, I have a controversial take on this, but I want to know what you think about this. Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
No.
Oh, here we go.
I think he's underrated still.
Yes.
100 years later, underrated?
Take that, Brad.
Well, you have to realize Babe Ruth, the person, like, you have the player stuff, right? Which is amazing. I mean, people go, oh, you didn't face the all-around best with the African-Americans and the Latins and everything else. Absolutely, that is true. But you also didn't have the nutrition, the weightlifting, the coaching, the travel. I mean, they have travel by train and car, bus, whatever. Nowadays, they're luxury airliners and everything's done for them. So I think it's a wash. I think the great players yesterday are great today. And, I mean, imagine Babe Ruth with the weightlifting and nutrition and the good coaching. I think he would be just as good.
I think it's tough because it's like that. I've heard that argument a ton. Like, imagine if he had a weight trainer and everything in the nutrition. Like, but would he have though? Did he have the personality to go and hit the weight room and lay off the hot dogs for 6 months? You know,
who's to say that
it's
that
tough.
Is the way to go? I mean, Jose Canseco, great body, worked out all the time. The body breaks down. Mike Piazza, the body breaks down. Is being in that great shape necessarily good for baseball?
Not
I
always.
think it comes. I think there's a balance that, you know, a lot of times, like a lot of guys talked about, like, pitchers don't lift heavy because you're going to decrease your range of motion. Well, not if you stretch. You know, I think the key is stretching.
Mickey Mantle never lifted weights, right? And he was
Griffey never lifted weights.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor. I mean, I know we're switching to football, but
right,
one of the strongest, fastest players ever, never lifted a weight. So, but you're right. Like Ohtani does and Suzuki, they are big into stretching. They'll stretch for an hour or two at a time. So that is really the key. And I can't imagine Babe Ruth really being that flexible.
Put a hot dog. Reach.
Well, we can continue this argument for an hour, and I just love this conversation.
Absolutely.
All right, Brig,
okay,
wrap it up.
So the last question is, if you could change anything about baseball right now, what would you change?
I would enforce a 10-man pitching staff. I hate the revolving door of relievers. It slows the game down, and it just doesn't allow pitchers to pitch. It just teaches them to throw as hard as they can for an inning and get out. I think the premium should be at a starting pitcher that can go 7 innings, 8 innings, and I'd love to see baseball go back to that.
I love
I
it.
hadn't thought about that. I think it would help the strategy of the game a ton too, especially like you talk about pitchers. Just go in there and throw 9-10 pitches as hard as you can, and then we'll pull you out. Like, no, like
Yeah.
pace yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that I hadn't thought about that, but that's a great way to go. I like that.
Well, and strategize too. Have you read David Cohn's book, Full Count?
I have not. No.
Oh, it's
good.
magnificent. It's part
really good.
treatise on pitching. It's part
Mhm.
biography, autobiography. It's wonderful.
Well, toward the end there, he wasn't throwing more than 92 usually. So, I mean, he knew how to meter himself out. And that's part of
Exactly.
pitching.
That's right. We have Keith O'Brien with us. He is author of Charlie Hustle, the new book on Pete Rose. The subtitle is The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose and the Last Glory Days of Baseball. It's available now. How are you, Keith?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're great.
We're ecstatic.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we
Me
are.
too. Great to be
We're
here.
pumped to have you here. We first of all, we love the book. Just absolutely have loved it. So thank you for doing everything that it took to write the book. We're writers, we get it, and the amount of research that went into this book is apparent based on the notes and acknowledgments and all the research that you've annotated very clearly. So our before we get into it,
We'll get into that later, but Brig, go ahead and start us.
Yeah. We're going to get you caught in a rundown like we do with all our guests.
All right.
First question, what is your quest?
Wow. I'm a big fan of quests. It's actually the topic of all my books is a quest. My quest is honestly just be a good person, be a good dad, be a good spouse.
That's awesome.
I think we can wrap it up, Brig. I think that's it. That
We
was outstanding.
align with that.
Okay, I have a hard-hitting follow-up question. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is purple.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be more common, I've noticed.
I'm going hard at purple, guys. I'm doing it.
Love it.
Yeah, I love purple. If your favorite team was a beverage, your favorite Major League Baseball team was a beverage, what would they be? And who is your favorite team?
Well, yeah. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, and so the Reds are still my favorite team. In Cincinnati, if you're familiar with the city, there's a little place called United Dairy Farmers, UDF, and UDF is a place where you love to get a milkshake, and so I'll go milkshake.
Oh, nice.
I would have thought like something to do with Skyline Chili, but that's very obviously surface level of my understanding of Cincinnati. So
no, but there's not a particular drink at Skyline Chili.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to drink it. So that's a good point. All right, next question: if baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Wow, you guys have good questions. Baseball is, I think, still for me, America. And I would say then if it's going to be the American ice cream, you just have to go vanilla or chocolate. You have to go one of the standards, I think. That's what I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's a response we get a lot. We get a lot of it's vanilla. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really, really good, but it's the classic, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be like
reasoning.
bubblegum ice cream. It wouldn't be, it would have to be, I think, vanilla.
Yeah.
Although, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe Rocky Road, because baseball is, I don't know, is traveling on a rocky road, I would say. Now.
It is right now for sure.
Yeah,
certainly.
And it's not the last time, or it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time for sure.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what your book's about, which I love. And then last question.
Yeah, go ahead. I was asking
Brad's favorite question.
Yeah, this is my tailor-made question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brad always wants to ask people, do you think Babe Ruth is or is not overly romanticized?
Yeah. So it's like the old question, overrated, underrated, properly rated.
Right.
Well, see, I don't want to say overrated, overly romanticized, right? I feel like there's a difference there.
Well, I, this answer maybe will help inform our conversation here today, and certainly informed my reporting in my book about Pete Rose. I think we overly romanticize lots of athletes. I think that's a problem that we have as Americans, as fans. We like to think that we know them, and we like to ascribe to them, moral values and put them on pedestals. And, at the end of the day, most of them are just really good at playing a kid's game, and they have all the problems that anyone else has. So since that is just sort of my personal belief in general about athletes, I would say, yes, he's overly romanticized, because nobody should be so romanticized in the ways we've done for Babe Ruth and many others. What do you think?
My man. Yeah.
Brad loved that.
Absolutely. My thing is that the only thing we have of Babe Ruth is the old-timey radio call. The man was 8 feet tall and bulletproof, see, and he hits the ball 700 feet, 700 miles, whatever. And it's like, it's not really how it was, but that's how they were conveying the story. And you had writers who were possibly embellishing what they saw because they had never seen anything like it to that point.
Right.
That's all we have to go off of. So that's my big thing with Babe Ruth being overly romanticized. So, and I mean, I'm here for it because I'd do the same thing, right?
Right.
That's how I am with Ellie De La Cruz and Shohei Ohtani and all those guys. So I get it, but at the same time, though, we got to have a little bit more realistic scope on things, I feel like. So,
yeah, I mean, his numbers were so anomalous compared to the other guys he was playing with. It would be like somebody coming in today and hitting 100 home runs. We would go crazy for that today if some player showed up and suddenly was hitting 100, right? So much more than anyone ever has. That would be a massive story. So his iconic status is earned. But I agree with you. It's overly romanticized, overly inflated, for sure.
Fantastic.
We have Jerry Izenberg with us, and like we do with all of our guests, we are going to get him in a rundown and a couple of questions for you. First, Jerry, what would you say is your quest?
Is my quest?
Yep.
To stay alive, to tell all the stories I know. Larry Doby in Black and White is my 15th book. I've been in the newspaper business for 72 years. I'm the only person I know that turned down the New York Times.
What is your favorite color?
My favorite color?
Yeah, favorite color.
I would say sepia, because when we stand side by side, my wife is brown and I'm white.
Ooh, sepia. That's awesome.
You'll never get a unique answer again. You'll never get a smart ass like this again either.
I'm asking the hard-hitting questions here today, Jerry.
Yeah, you are. Brad's got the hard ones. Your favorite boyhood baseball team?
Oh, it was dichotomy. For me, it was the Newark Bears, greatest minor league team in history. Every 4th of July, my mother gave me a brown paper bag with a bologna sandwich and an apple. I got on a bus. I went to Jersey City. In the morning, 22,000 people saw the morning game. Got on a bus, ate the lunch, and then went to Newark where 15,000 people. So it was 37,000 people saw that rivalry in 2 games. And I hold a grudge against baseball for what it's doing to the minor leagues, because minor leagues make cities live.
Criminal.
That's 100%. We agree with you.
That's something we could do a whole show on, because it's terrible.
My next question for you, Jerry, is if baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Baseball were an ice cream flavor?
Yeah.
Today it would be vanilla, which is as plain as you can get when you're going to colors, because they have ruined every good side of the game. When I was in love with baseball, my dad, growing up and throwing a ball back and forth in the alley and whatever else, I would have said baseball was a double dipper, part pistachio, part rum raisin, the 2 most exotic flavors I could think of.
Okay, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
So, and then we'll get into the book a little bit more. Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized today from what he really was?
I saw Babe Ruth not play. Sitting in the dugout, he was manager of batting coach of the Newark Bears because he had to show him. They had to give him a job. I always felt he did save the game of baseball. He did because of the home runs. Home run Baker hit what, 7 home runs? I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I could hit 7 home runs on the Sandlot in Newark, but baseball was going to need saving because what the owners thought was saving baseball was Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
Right.
Because he threw out the 8 dumpers, and there's a great debate about whether all 8 of them were dumpers and whether Shoeless Joe, who hit so well in the World Series, whether he really was a dumper.
Yeah.
But he threw them out, and they thought that saved the game. They hired him only because attendance had gone down for 2 or 3 straight years. So they said, "You're the czar. You do whatever you want to do. You can do it." But that didn't save baseball. What saved baseball is the attendance started to go up when Ruth started hitting balls. You got to remember something. Ruth was very famous as a ball player before he hit home run. Well, he hit a couple, but he was a pitcher.
Right.
He was one of the greatest pitchers. He may be the greatest player. I don't know about that. I've always frowned on that because I believe you judge players by their era. Look at basketball. Basketball now is aerial volleyball.
Mm-hmm. We talk about that all the time, comparing players with their era. Absolutely, yeah.
You can't do it. The game was different.
Yep.
And baseball the eras are so easily divided. The dead ball, but then the lively ball, which was a plan. A couple of times, every time they will get a home run slump. I don't care what they say. We get a lively ball.
Yeah.
Home runs are what fill the park.
Mm-hmm.
No hitters don't fill the park.
This is a man who I have known through the interwebs for a while now. His name is Dan Schlossberg. He is author of his latest book is Home Run King: The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron. We have our copies here. I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to dive into it too much because I haven't had it that long, but I'm very into it. Very into it, Dan. I'm excited to get deeper into it.
Good to hear.
So Dan Schlossberg has had a 50-year career as a journalist covering baseball and travel, currently a Forbes National Baseball writer. He has authored 40 baseball books. We have a lot more to get into with him. And he is a fellow member of the IBWAA as well. Okay, Dan, we're going to get you caught in a rundown. Are you ready for some rapid-fire questions?
Always ready.
All right, let's get it started. First question is, what is your quest?
My quest is to turn back the clock in baseball. They're always talking about that with the old uniforms. Turn back the clock to when you have 4 8-team leagues and the winners go directly to the World Series. And with expansion, you could do that.
Yep. Yes. Ha. That was my favorite answer I've ever heard. That's what I want as well.
Good.
That's exactly right. Okay, my question is, what is your favorite color?
Red.
Like Braves red?
Braves red, which Hank Aaron did not like, which is why his uniform was blue when he broke the record.
No way.
They changed the uniform to blue coloring for him.
Wow.
Why didn't he like red?
Just a personal preference. It's like not liking spinach, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like yellow, so I get it.
Yeah. So sorry, Brad.
That's all right.
When somebody walks into the room and says yellow again, you don't like that?
Well, I've said that I've gotten through this before. It's a particular shade of yellow because it has to do with pineapple flavored fruit roll-ups from when I was a kid.
I thought it had to do with the bears on Berthold's chest there.
Oh,
yeah. It's my fault.
It is about that shade of yellow, though, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, great.
All
that
right.
ruins one of my gifts for you.
It's fine, Greg. It's fine. Okay. If the Braves were a beverage, what would they be?
They'd be ginger ale because they're unpredictable. Lots of carbonation, lots of changes, but lots of staying the same too. And they do calm an upset stomach.
Not a lot of teams do that. Not a lot of teams will calm an upset stomach. Usually they cause one. As a Mariners fan, they're often causing them.
Oh, I get it. They haven't won a pennant yet.
No. Someday.
It's a problem.
It is.
All right. If baseball were an ice cream flavor, Dan, what would it be?
Oh, definitely chocolate. It's my favorite flavor and my favorite sport.
Well, there you have it.
I love it. I think that's the first time we've gotten chocolate. Usually it's vanilla. Nothing wrong with vanilla, but it's a classic. But chocolate is outstanding. That's fantastic.
Vanilla's too bland. There's no taste.
Brad likes vanilla.
I love
Probably what Willie Mays fan said that.
Okay, this is a kind of a controversial question, but I like to ask it. Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
No, he's not. He's probably the number one player of all time. He was a pitcher and a batter, just like Ohtani is, or was before his injury. And he's probably the number one player of all time, with Hank Aaron a very close second.
Okay.
Take that, Brad.
I will take that. I will take that.
We fight about this all the time, Dan, which this is one of our favorite things to argue about.
It really is. Yeah, so much.
Well, Babe Ruth and romance usually don't wind up in the same sentence.
That's true. Yeah, you're
That's a
right. Not romance. Brig, do you want to finish off with one more?
Yeah. What is one unpopular opinion about baseball that you have?
That Rob Manfred's Ghost Runner should be retracted. It's not used in the playoffs because it stinks. It's a lousy rule. It's the worst rule in the history of baseball, and Rob Manfred should leave before 2029.
Boom.
My man.
That's not unpopular here.
No.
Well, I call it the Manfred Man after the British group.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we call it too.
That's what we refer to it as too. Yeah. It's a little league rule. It doesn't belong in big league baseball.
It makes Major League Baseball look like a Sunday beer league.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. For sure.
Yep. That's exactly
I
right.
absolutely agree with you. Today we have a very special guest with us today. His name is Mike Steele. He is the owner of Steele Performance Group. He has spent 6 years coaching Division I baseball at Michigan State, Wichita State, and Long Beach State, 8 years with the Pirates throughout their minor league system, and 4 years with the Cleveland Indians as part of their development team. Welcome, Mike. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Great to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you. So just like we do with all of our guests, we're going to get you caught in a rundown. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Your very first question is, what is your quest?
My quest is to develop young men through the sport of baseball and furthering values of, furthering their values of hard work, honesty, empathetic people that impact their communities through the lessons they learn that they got when they're around me.
Amazing.
Let's let that sink in for a minute. Before I ask my next hard-hitting question, Mike, what is your favorite color?
Your favorite color? Black. Black.
Goes with everything.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Right,
first question. What is your favorite team? Do you have a favorite team?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't. I don't. And one of the reasons, and it also hurts me with my boys, but when you start to work at this for a living, you don't become loyal to, like, you kind of, like, the fan in you dies. So I don't fan over any teams. I root for people. I root for coaches. I root for organizations. But it's like, I'm fan. I guess I'd say I'm fan of people, but I also understand it's more of an appreciation for how those people got there and the people around them that helped develop them. So, gun to my head, I'm a Tigers. I grew up a Tigers fan from Michigan, and there's always a little warmness in my heart for that old English D. So we can go Tigers if I got to answer that.
Okay, so the Tigers, if they were a beverage, what would they be?
They're a beverage? It'd probably be like a giant, like, 40 ounce of something that's an adult beverage. I mean,
Just because you need it.
there's nothing refreshing about it, So
Got to get through those hard times and cold winters,
Yeah, it's
right?
just pain, just cheap pain is what it is. So bad life decisions.
I know a lot about those. All right, Mike, if baseball were an ice cream flavor, what do you think it would be?
Oh, it would be Superman. Yeah, it'd be a mixture of all different colors.
Oh, man.
You know, it would
That's my
be
favorite ice cream.
it would hit you deep in your soul. And it's good all year round, man. It doesn't matter if it's summer or winter or whatever.
That's the best answer we've ever had, Brig. That is my absolute favorite ice cream. I love
Yeah,
Superman
it is.
so much.
Well, you made a big
Crap,
fan
like,
there, Mike.
That's outstanding.
That's awesome.
Okay, I do have one more question though. And we've added this to this segment this year because I have to know, is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
Whew. I mean, I have such a, you know, I was raised by a World War II grandfather, so I grew up on stories about those eras and that old time baseball. And man, those were men's men, you know, and there was no recovery days, you know, there was no masseuses or any of that stuff. And if they were, it wasn't for baseball related stuff. So, you know, those guys, is he overly, I do not think so. I think he was one of those guys that, you know, those once in a lifetime generational guys that came along, and that was his time. You know, you throw the Jordans, the Babe Ruths, the Wayne Gretzky's, the guys like that, where it's just like they were bigger. Not only were they better than everybody else, but they were bigger than the sport themselves, you know, and overly romantic. I don't know. I mean, it's like you start saying that, it's like, well, let's compare numbers and all that stuff. Well, I don't know. I mean, that guy, I don't think he's over romanticized. I think he's an icon, and I think he's a legend, right? Like you can't get away from that. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's, you know, I look at guys like that, and it's like, you know, those guys went and chopped wood and drank beer all off season, you know, and then just get in there with, you know, they're swinging 38-ounce bats. They're just dropping bombs. I mean, nobody done that before him, you know. I mean, so no, I don't think so.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you're not wrong about the bats though. I always go back, like that's one thing that blows my mind. I remember in high school, this kid had this wood bat and he brought it. I was like, dude, this is like, he's like, it's a log is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is Babe Ruth's bat. It's a log.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever in Cooperstown, I know all the people that listen to this, take the kids to Cooperstown, go look at those guys' bats. They were heavier than they were long. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's true.
Well, we were at the Ty Cobb Museum just the other day and looking at his turning model. It's just like, there's no, like, I was looking at the knob on it, like the handle, and I was like, there's no way I'd be able to like even hold this bat, much less swing it. It would wreck.
And they hung on to it like an axe, for crying out loud. It's like they're Thor, you know. I mean, it was ridiculous. So
they did. And I have to say too, talking about like the recovery days and everything, like the immediate image that popped into my mind is there's a video of Babe Ruth with I think a trainer, and he's like shaking his stomach, doing something to him. And he just like he gets over, he just smacks him like, "Get out of here! What are you doing?" Like, that was the high.
No sports medicine.
Yeah, the recovery process.
Guys are sharpening their metal cleats, just taking out ACLs everywhere, you know. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of Ty Cobb, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're ever at the Louisville Slugger Bat Factory and Museum, they have a batting cage in the back where you can swing the turning models that some of these other guys have used all the way through the years. Last time I was there, I let myself buy a replica Babe Ruth bat, and so I have it, and I mean, you would never want to use it. It's just a cheap replica, but man, is it heavy. And it's wide. The handle is so wide.
Big, tough men, you know, just big, tough, hairy men.
That's exactly what.
Just like this podcast. So
That's right.
I don't know about tough, but we can go with Eric.
I gave up tough a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a front. The beard is a front, that's for sure.
We're here with Randy Cox. Randy Cox has been an editor and a reporter, an award-winning journalist, specifically a photojournalist, working in the field of journalism for 50 years. He's the author of 3 books. He's an expert on collectibles, anything from baseball memorabilia to 1950s Disney games. He's worked in Georgia and Alabama as a reporter, news and sports editor, and also a radio broadcaster. And we're really excited to have you here, Randy. Thanks for joining us.
So, well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And you guys are baseball experts, and I'm just real happy to be here to talk to you about Henry Aaron. This is a subject that I've kind of lived with for the past 2 years. He was a great gentleman, as well as a great ball player and entrepreneur, an executive after his playing days. So I always enjoy, and I got my Hank Aaron hat on here, so I will be glad to answer any questions, and I just appreciate y'all having me.
Well, we're excited. We're going to do one thing we always do. We're going to give you caught in a rundown. So my first question for you, Randy, is what is your quest?
What is my quest? Oh, okay. Well, I think my quest in doing this book was to let folks know about Hank Aaron's entire career. I know we focused on 715, but he did so much more than just being a baseball player. He was a complete baseball player, but he also was not only an entrepreneur, but he was someone that worked with the Braves after his career with a lot of the younger players. He was able to bring up Chipper Jones and Tom Glavine from the Braves 90s teams, and he was a mentor for these players. He was a civil rights activist. He did a lot of charity work. We have the Hank Aaron Foundation that is that, of course, Billy Aaron, his wife, his widow, is involved in. So he was. I like to tell people about he had a Hall of Fame life. In fact, that was one of the chapters, a Hall of Fame life, a complete life, and he was just a gentleman all the way on that. So he was just a great guy. That's kind of what I was looking forward to doing in this book.
I like to say guys are first team all good dudes, like first team all MLB, first team all good dudes is what I like to say about good guys, good people. So I would put Hank Aaron on that list. All right, next question for you. This is the hardest hitting question you're going to get all day. What is your favorite color?
I think probably blue is my favorite color.
Solid choice.
That's great. We're all wearing blue today. That's fabulous. Okay. If the Atlanta Braves were a beverage, what would they be?
If they were what now?
A beverage. If they were a drink.
Oh, a beverage. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Are you talking about the current Braves?
Good question.
The organization as a whole.
Just
the Braves.
Just the organization. Yeah.
I would say right now probably maybe a martini.
Ooh, yeah.
Nothing real strong. I think I kind of wish they were maybe a Long Island iced tea or something, but right now we're it's kind of martini, just kind of average kind of thing.
Maybe 2 ingredients.
Well, these are real good questions, man. I tell you. Oh, me. Okay.
If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Oh, let's see. I'm thinking chocolate because I'm just a real purist. I like chocolate, and I know my wife likes to put all these nuts and raisins and all this stuff in ice cream, but I just like to just have chocolate and enjoy the game as we enjoyed it years ago, played it, and more or less the bottom line. The bottom line is play it like it was, without any outside influences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a pure sport is what I think I'm trying to get over to you.
We feel the same way about it. We just
okay.
it just needs to just keep it. Speaking of keeping the game pure, the last question, the rundown is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
Oh, that's a really good question. Really good question. I think I don't think so. I mean, this is a man that really pulled baseball out of the the Black Sox scandals, and this was a guy of enormous proportions, and I think that any credit that people give to him, I think he's definitely deserved. Hank Aaron is quoted as saying after he broke Babe Ruth's record that he said he didn't want to take anything away from Babe Ruth, but he wanted people to remember Hank Aaron. So you've got Babe Ruth, and you've got Hank Aaron later. So I think I don't think you can give too much credit to either of them. Let me just say that, and they're two of my heroes.
Today we're going to be talking to Kory DeHaan. He is a small town Midwest kid who got to play big league baseball and gets to help kids learn the game. That's what he told us, and I love it. So I wrote it down and I used it. Welcome, Kory. How are you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. We're excited. So before we get too deep into things, we want to do the same thing we do with all of our guests. We're going to get you caught in a rundown. And so the first question is the hardest hitting of them all. What is your quest?
What's my quest? Well, everybody is, brought into this world with a purpose, right? You want to fulfill that purpose, and kids are searching for it. You don't know what it is really until you get into some things with life. But I think early on you get passionate about stuff. And I had a passion for baseball, similar to you guys. You got a passion for the game. You love the ins and outs of it, and you have some success with it. So you're like, okay, when people are clapping, when you're doing stuff, it's like, that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So you want to keep doing it. And you find out that, man, I think I was created to play this game. I think I was created to be a part of it in some way. Because if I'm not able to play it, how can I help give back? So sometimes life puts you in other directions, and you get motivated by other things, and it's like, this is the wrong direction. I'm doing things for the wrong reasons, and you want to get back into, what do I love doing? What do I feel called to do? How do I feel like I'm inspiring others? How do I feel like I'm making a difference? I'm getting up. It's not going to work. It's literally, you just love what you're doing. And so my quest is to constantly live in that, not get sucked into the worldly way at times of what the world says might be success. But yet just keep diving into relationships, diving into life with people, and let's get a little bit better every day.
Oh my gosh, awesome. You have no idea how much I relate, because I like, seriously though, because I played baseball, and then when I wasn't playing baseball anymore, I was like, what do I want to do? And everybody's like, go into medicine. I was like, all right. So I was pre-med. I worked in healthcare for like 6 years in pharmacy. And then I was like, I hate this. And then I wanted to be a sports writer, went back to school, and now I'm doing this stuff. So like, absolutely, I relate to what you're saying. That's fantastic.
Yep.
That's so great. I love every bit of it.
My next question for you is, this is a tough one. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color. I actually like the boring colors. I like the black. I like the gray. I kind of like the light gray. I like it plain and simple. I don't like having to be a bold color by any means. So it's kind of that. But I love Florida. And that's why I live in Florida, because I love the sun. So I need sunlight, but my color is probably on that gray black side. I don't know why. It's just kind of in that area.
There's nothing
That's
wrong
probably
with
too
that.
much information, but
No,
for why
nothing
I
wrong
would
with
choose
it
the
at all.
color.
That's great. Okay, so if baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
I love chocolate chip cookie dough, but I also love this thing called Moose Tracks. And baseball is my dream, and ice cream is my dream. So every night it's a little bit of scoop of ice cream after you get done playing baseball. You're like, this was a perfect day. But yeah, a lot of the little caramel and chocolate mixed in with some ice cream is top notch in my book.
That's awesome.
It's a winning combination.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to ask Brad. I'm going to ask Brad's favorite question next, okay? Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
Is he overly romanticized? I think that he was attracted. He was attractive to people back in that day, and he put up some serious numbers, and he was kind of not a prototypical. What you look at as like, man, this guy's the physique, the stallion of a movie, of a hero type thing. It was like, I don't think he was really that dude, but I think he had the confidence, and he had power, and he had almost like an I don't care what you think. So I almost get into trouble a lot doing that. But people took to it. And when you put up some early numbers like that, it's like, he is the king, right? So I think he has every right to have that romanticizedness by people. But I think that, and it also shows baseball is beautiful, because it doesn't have to be just the most elite looking athlete. It can be like, I played with a ball player by the name of Alex Pelaez, and he's still a hitting coach in the Reds organization, but his nickname was the Plumber. And it was awesome, because he'll tell you, I'm like, I've got kind of a plumber body. I don't have the most ideal looking body. But it was awesome, because it just shows you, it don't matter what your body type is. If you can hit, if you can throw, if you can play, the coach wants you in the game to help win ball games.
Yeah. You would think, like, looking back, like, you would think Honus Wagner would have been the guy who put up the numbers that Babe Ruth did, because that dude was a hoss. He was huge, right?
Country strong.
But then exactly right. But it's Babe Ruth who did it. Who, kind of the plumber body too. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
stuff.
Honus was a Pittsburgh guy too, right? I thought he was.
Yeah.
He did a lot with the Pirates.
We have a great interview guest here with us. His name's Aaron Fischman, and we'll give you his bio and everything like that in just a moment, but he's author of A Baseball Gaijin, Chasing a Dream to Japan and Back. We've got our copies right here. But as always, before we do anything, we got to get him caught in a rundown. Aaron, are you ready?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay. Our first question we ask everybody is, what is your quest?
My quest in life? It's just open-ended purposely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to tell amazing, worthwhile stories and have a lot of fun in the process and not get too anxious, but that's way easier said than done.
For sure. It is way easier said than done.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, the hardest hitting question. What is your favorite color?
Green. Purple or
I can
green?
see.
I have these nice green headphones on, as you could see if you're watching on YouTube. Purple, green and
awesome.
purple are my two favorite colors. Yeah.
Purple's one of mine, for the record.
Nice.
That's very cool.
Nice.
Next question. If the LA Dodgers were a beverage, what would they be?
Whoa. Really putting me on the spot here with that one. Was it horchata?
Oh,
ooh,
yeah.
That's a good one. I think
That's
you're spot on with that. Yeah,
yeah, I don't
that's
even
a
think I
great
need to
answer.
elaborate. I can
No.
if you want, but
no, that's perfect. That's a great
That's
answer.
perfect.
I would
Man,
never
if
have thought of
anybody's
that.
ever had horchata, they'll understand.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
if
It's
baseball-
very sweet. Sometimes
Yeah.
burns out a little bit in the postseason, but
it
That's
does.
right.
Yeah.
If Clayton Kershaw's name is on the cup, then yeah, we're probably gonna have a problem.
Well, and it gets sometimes it gets a little watered down there at the end, right? So yeah,
yeah,
works.
good point.
It works. If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
I'm gonna go with coffee ice cream. So it's kind of straightforward. Some people might say it's a little bit boring, but there's just so much flavor. There's so much nuance, and if you know, you know. And I think the three of us know.
We know. Yeah. Awesome. My last question for you, and then Brad's got one more. What is one unpopular baseball opinion you have?
Whew. I don't know how unpopular it is now, but I've come around on this. But I like the extra inning rule with the runner on second base, just because it's just such a long season. I don't want such long games. I think we see enough games and innings as it is, and yeah, it sucks for the relief pitcher. There's barely any margin for error. You come in, there's already a runner in scoring position. If they bunt the runner over, then they're at third with one out. But just be better. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's
really though. Like, yeah.
I mean, so I've come, even though I did not like it at first. Like a lot of people don't love change, especially when we're so used to certain traditions. But I like it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that because I'm not a big fan of it because I feel like I've missed something, right? But I understand the purpose behind it. I understand the nuance, and I would like to see more teams bunt that guy over. But bunting is such a lost art that nobody will do it.
They've got to employ the Japanese strategy. There's not enough small ball over here. It's always let's get a double or 3-run home run or whatever.
I know.
Preach, man.
It's crazy.
Preach. That's we talk small ball all the time.
Actually, I went to the only Dodgers game that I've been to all year. It was Japanese Heritage Night, interestingly enough, and Shohei had a good game as usual. But the it was Dodgers Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks were bunting in strategic situations, and it was working out for them. And then the Dodgers ended up bunting, and it ended up really working for them. And I was with my dad. We were joking about how Dave Roberts really should bunt this guy over here, but he probably won't. And we were relieved when he did. And the runner, I believe, was singled in after he was moved over to second base. It made a lot of sense too. It was forgot who it was, but it was someone, might have been Kike Hernandez or one of the Dodgers hitters that's been struggling this season, and there were no outs and they were down by a run. So we were relieved to see them move him into scoring position there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we need to see more of it. I feel like we've seen more bunts in the last 2 to 3 weeks than we have in the last 2 to 3 years, which is encouraging. But anyway. But the last question we have for you of this is the question I like to ask everybody is, do you think Babe Ruth is overly romanticized? Not overrated, overly romanticized.
It could go either way. I lean toward yes, just because I think that's the natural thing that we do in our culture. Maybe it's just a natural human thing when something happened so long ago, and it's less tangible. We tell legends and we exaggerate, and that makes things more epic. He was extremely epic. I don't know if I can cuss. I was going to say something else, but extremely epic. But I don't know that he was as epic as we romanticize him to be. The level of competition wasn't what it was, of course. Now he wasn't facing 100-mile-per-hour pitches. So I'm going to say yes, barely. No disrespect.
Suitable answer.
I don't want to
no
disrespect the man.
He changed the game, but
he was pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's
but I
what I'm
think Shohei
saying,
can do what he could do.
I think
that's
Shohei's
amazing.
Better.
Shohei's, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We've got Dave Turgeon with us, and we will tell you all about him, and he will tell you all about him in a moment. But before we do that, we're going to give him into a rundown, just like we do with all of our guests. And Dave, the first question that we ask everybody is, what is your quest?
What is my quest? So real simple. Change the world one baseball player at a time.
Love that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Never
The
know.
best answers are simple, but they carry a ton of weight behind them.
So,
fantastic.
If you want to affect change, obviously it starts with yourself, and then those that are in contact with you daily. I adopted that when I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates in player development, and really all that comes from is coaching in a holistic manner, where we always believe that the player resides in the man. So the ability to change boys into men is really how you impact the game. Because, when guys mature and all of a sudden they figure out how to do the right stuff over and over again, and post up and do the right things, and stuff on the field has a tendency to clean up. So we kind of adopted that when I was over in Pittsburgh, and I see if there's anything I'm convicted in player development, it's being able to coach the man first or the boy first and help him, learn how to be responsible and a good teammate, how to work, how to show up injured, sick, whatever it is, and all of that, and where doesn't that translates in everything. So that was our motto, and I've been there ever since.
That's fantastic.
Love it. Love it. Okay, I have a hard-hitting question for you. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is navy blue. Maybe it's from my Yankee days.
Yeah. Well, you can't escape excellence.
Yeah, I mean,
you just can't. Yeah.
The pennies, the hat, it's in me.
Yeah, Briggs, our local Yankees fan.
Yes, I am. The royal we are represented here every time. All right. If baseball were an ice cream flavor, Dave, what would it be?
If baseball were an ice cream flavor, so I guess it would be something like a cake mix where you've got all these different colors in it. It's a vast. It's all a bunch of different colors. It's not one color, and there's a lot of gray. It's not black and white, that's for sure. But it's a lot of different things. I would say as many colors as you could possibly put into an ice cream.
That's awesome.
Yep. Okay, I do actually have a hard-hitting question for you. Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
I think he's underrated. Yeah, I have this thing. One of the things I like to do is go on and just look at statistics, real, not the deep dive stuff that, exit velocities and all that stuff, talking about real, run production, batting averages, stolen base, the basic real baseball statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of obvious. I mean, they just, like, one of his pitching records, World Series pitching records, was just recently broken in the past 5 or 10 years, but could have been a Hall of Fame pitcher, was on his way there. And then, like, what he did for that period of time, it just goes so far, you know, best of his era, right? Best of era, 70s, 80s, 90s. And if you broke it down into when he was playing, league averages for all of the stuff that he did, he just so above the level. Okay. So, like, probably more above the level than Michael Jordan was above the level for his generation. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you know, but that's how I kind of look at stuff. Right. And, you know, if you think about it, I mean, we still say stuff like, I mean, why are we pitching around this guy? Was he Babe Ruth? I mean, Babe Ruth played in like the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And there's still, you know, and people out here, I'm not even sure if they know who he is, but kids know him. They say his name. But his statistics are mind-boggling, in my opinion. I mean, he's one. I think he's not underrated, but he kind of is. He redefined the game, and
yeah,
I don't know if there's ever been another one like him. And he was a two-way guy.
Right. We used to give the kids, when I was coaching my son's team a couple of years ago, and we used to give the kids a hard time because we'd be like, who's your favorite player? And all of them would be like, Babe Ruth. Like, you don't even know Babe Ruth. Like, you got to pick somebody who you've actually gotten to watch. Like, we don't even know Babe. But yeah, the fact that they knew who Babe Ruth was, they don't know who Honus Wagner was. Probably don't know Ty Cobb.
No.
Right? But they all know Babe Ruth.
Yes. And also, you know, and I know generations have different approaches at the plate and all this stuff. He never struck out 100 times in a season. I mean, I think he hit 340 lifetime. I mean, his numbers are stupid. I mean, and it's hard to imagine his numbers.
It's true.
It's crazy.
We ask everybody this question because Brad's on one side and I'm on the other, and he keeps losing ground here.
I got an early lead, but it's not looking good lately. So. That's fine. It's fine. It's a fun debate, I feel like.
It is fun.
That's why we keep it up.
We've got Tony Barnette here. We are super excited to have you. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We're excited. Before we get into the book of which he is the subject, we will put him through a rundown, which is what we do with all of our guests. And so, Tony, we got some rapid fire questions for you. The first one is, what is your quest?
What is my quest? My quest in life is honestly from here on out is just to enjoy it and travel, see the world before it all ends on me. You know, take my kids everywhere I possibly can, and also show them where I came from, and you know, get them back into the stadiums that I played in, and just kind of explain to them that I don't just sit around all day and watch sports.
Yeah, we understand that.
That's all I do.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, what does your dad do? Oh, my dad stays at home and he just watches sports. You know, okay, we're gonna have to sell that a little bit different, guys. You know, like, I'm working. It is a job. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, we have the same problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a problem, but all right. Next question: what is your favorite color?
Favorite color is green.
Ooh, that was fast.
I
like
fast.
That. Yeah. All right, if baseball were a beverage, no, I'm sorry. If baseball were an ice cream flavor, let's do that. If baseball were an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Rocky Road.
Ooh.
Tells the story right there.
You want to tell us why? What do you think?
You know, it's in the name. You know, it's just, you know, there's no easy path on that in this game. And, you know, like there's a select few, like Albert Pujols to think of. You know, a guy just woke up one day or he was born and ready to hit, you know, but you know, there's for 99.9% of us outside of the Hall of Fame, you know, and even for those guys, you know, there's no easy path, and it's got its ups and downs, and you meet your nuts along the way, and it's just, but at the end of the day, it's delicious.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I want to get into
explanation.
that. I want to get into part of that a little bit later. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite team these days? Do you have a favorite team these days?
It's hard because of my job. I have to be pretty, I can't show favoritism, but, I do still follow the Mariners. They are my, I grew up as a Mariner fan, but also in the same, it's kind of contradictory because obviously with Texas being the guys that gave me that shot and me having such a good time there, I've got my heart in Texas. The Rangers are a team that I still definitely follow, and especially when I know so many people that still work behind the scenes there, it's close to home. But deep down, as a 12-year-old me, still a Mariners fan.
All right, let's go with 12-year-old you then, especially since I'm a Mariners fan.
My man.
If the Mariners were a beverage, what would they be?
Man, I'm trying not to be mean here.
No, be mean. Go ahead, get after it.
I mean, something tells me like vanilla Coke. You want it to be good, but it just kind of every time it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah,
that's a perfect description. We were talking to Aaron Fischman the other day, and he asked me, he's like, "What would you do?" I was like, honestly, it's probably have to be the bitterest thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. I'm not a big fan of sparkling water. I might have to go with that. But I think vanilla Coke is a really good way to go. That's the perfect description. You want it to be good, but it just isn't.
You want it to be good, and it just leaves you disappointed each time.
Every single time. I don't know how many times in my life I've tried vanilla Coke, and it's like, yeah, it's still not good.
I mean, we're still hanging on the 2001. Like that was the last rule. So hang in there.
I know. Yeah,
it's a true story. Yep. Okay, what is one unpopular baseball opinion you have?
One unpopular baseball opinion? I mean, depends on who you ask, but I think they should re-raise the mound.
Oh,
re-raise it?
Oh yeah.
Even with the way pitching is this year?
I'm a pitcher.
Yeah,
I know.
Look, I'm biased on this one. Prop us up and let us get downhill with some absolute fire. Let's get that average fastball up to 101 while we're at it.
Oh, that's so scary. I don't know how anybody would ever hit the ball.
No, I mean I mean, as a guy that traditionally through 91, 92, I really wanted that. I wanted an extra hump on there. I needed an extra bump and get downhill, but I mean, I think some of my own popular baseball opinions have kind of already come true. Like, I always kind of wish there would be a time clock, and there is.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, especially in my job now. It makes my job cake,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No sitting there scouting for the 4.5-hour ball game anymore. We're in and out in 2.5, 3.5. And, I mean, popular baseball opinion is get rid of the ghost runner on second.
Yes. Yep. We agree.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah,
so I have a follow-up question to that. So I was talking to a guy, I was covering our college baseball team when we were there, and talking about 4.5-hour games. Golly, college can't get any outs. But I was talking to one of their old pitchers, and he was we were in like the 13th inning of this game, and he's standing there, and he's like, if they had put me in the 11th, this game would be over. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I hate extra innings. I'd have grooved the ball. Just let a guy hit a home run and ended it. Did you ever have that attitude as a pitcher? Just like, I want to get out of here. I don't want to be playing extra innings.
I mean, when I wasn't pitching, yes.
Yeah.
Like it's hard because, like you never want to, have your guys, give it up because you know how bad it hurts, but there's just games you're just like, oh my God, like get us out of here. Like we got a day game tomorrow and we're actually traveling tonight. We need to move. But on the mound, like, no, never. Like that mentality, that's the worst feeling in the world, is giving it up and getting walked off. It's like the pitcher's mound's already one of the loneliest places in the world, so like, it's just losing sucks. I'm not a fan of it, all the way down to board games, like, show no mercy,
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't think I could ever just groove one in for a guy, like, just to get out of there quicker.
Yeah, that shocked me, honestly, as somebody who's a competitor. It's like,
yeah,
dude, really?
If I was a coach, I hear that, I'm probably jumping him a little bit.
Yeah. That guy sells insurance now.
Keeping him out of extra innings and tight ball games. He's definitely going in when we're down 10-0 from here on out.
Yeah.
Okay, I have
the
one more
last question for
you.
you. Oh, you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
This is my question, Brig.
Okay,
Let me.
it is your question. All right.
Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized? Not overrated, overly romanticized.
No. No.
Take that, Brad.
He was, do I think in my prime could I carve Babe Ruth up? Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like, you go back to I always resort back to that question when people ask Michael Jordan who's the best of all time, and he gives us such a political answer of it's hard to say with eras, and he says he never played against Bill Russell, he never played against Jerry West, and so you can't really, especially because each era presents its own issues, and Babe Ruth was that's the beginning of baseball, really. That he put baseball on the map as far as popularity. We can get into the weeds with the Negro Leagues and all that about how popular that actually was, and how underrated it is.
For sure.
But Babe Ruth, he was the beginning of it all. He set the tone for what power should be and what it should look like. Once again, older players, do you think they'd stack up in today's game? It's arguable that they could or couldn't, depending on the athleticism and all that. But once again, at the time, whatever era it is, you're talking about the premier athletes of that era. And you have to hopefully just kind of think that they'd be able to adjust. But no, I don't think he's overly romanticized. I don't think he's overly rated. I just think he was that jumping off point that popularized baseball amongst the masses and got people really excited.
Yep. I think that's a good answer. I think that's a good way to say. Basically, he set the bar, and then everything has gone up since then. I think that's a good way to. I think it's a good way to explain it.
At one point, there was probably a guy in the Hall of Fame that was better than everybody else. And the thing about sports, and you're going to find somebody better along the way. They're going to take that and take it to the next level. Will we ever see another Babe Ruth again? Not that style. You got to be able to, you got to have a position. And
yeah,
you can't have somebody run the bases for you when you hit a dinger. Now, you got to do it yourself. But then again, along the way, there's guys that are irreplaceable in the game. You talk about Ichiro Suzuki, guys that just come in and did it in their own way and did it better than anybody else will. It's just no. There's guys that are just going to continue to take that bar and raise it a little bit, and that's the cool thing about baseball is it's so unique. You'll never see the same player twice, especially when you get to the top tier of them. They're so unique in their own ways, from Kershaw to Scherzer to Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan. All four of those guys are fantastic Hall of Fame caliber players, and they're all going to have their seat in there. Two of them already do, but nobody will ever be able to match the way that they did it in their own personal way.
Love it.
Love it. I love that. We've been asking everybody that question for a while, and we should put a tally together because I'm winning. It'd be nice to see it in.
So I'm assuming you're in the seat of Babe Ruth, not overly romanticized. I'm sure.
Not even.
Yeah, he's over.
Correct.
I will say this, Brig. So Tony, I got out to an early lead. A lot of people at first were like, "Yeah, he is overly romanticized." And one of my arguments is you got the old timey sports writer who is seeing something he's never seen before. How do you describe an airplane if you've never seen it? Mm-hmm. Right? That's a dragon. Right. Well, it's not a dragon; it's an airplane. How do you describe Babe Ruth if you've never seen anybody? He's a unicorn, right? You're going to embellish and things like that. So that was one of my main arguments. But hearing a lot of the arguments on the way, I'm like, I think it's valid that he's not overly romanticized, that he has his place in history, and now we're moving on to something else. But,
right, because you just said, it's something that nobody had seen before. And now we've got Shohei Ohtani. It's something that we've never seen before. Even from guys you can sit there and compare Nolan Arenado and Brooks Robinson. Sure, we've seen something similar to it, but guys like Adrian Beltre who are just masters, and Brooks Robinson who are masters of the third base position. You're going to find guys that are almost darn near perfect over there, but they're going to do it in their own way with their own style. And each one of those guys to their own right need to be written about on the way that they, like I talked about with the pitchers before, on how they uniquely did it in their own style, in their own way that you can't teach. It comes from within, and it comes from, Adrian's the perfect example simply because I got to watch him firsthand for a few years there. And like the way he throws the ball is not exactly mechanically sound, the way he sets his feet and throws and doesn't move through it, but it's his own way. And he does it masterfully. You know, he mastered his craft, and he's got that jacket waiting for him when he becomes eligible for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Absolutely.
one thing. Talking about, it reminds me of Robbie Cano. Like I watch Robinson Cano, and he's so smooth the way he played second base. It's like I would never ever show him to my son and be like, "This is how you play second base," because nobody can do it the way he does. But he's so good at it.
Right. It's just like some guys can't teach what they do. You know, it's like, well, just do what I do. And it's like, well, I can't do it. You do how you do it. You know, like
Nobody can do it.
Confidence and comfortability that comes with it that you just, you know, it's just, you know, guys like even like Cal Ripken and, you know, you go over to first base all around like Rafael Palmeiro and Mitch Moreland. Those guys are just masterful, you know, first basemen can pick anything that the earth throws at them, you know, and it's a sixth sense. It's something that they can't really teach you how to do it. They can talk to you about the fundamentals of it, but, you know, like we're not going to teach anybody to pitch like Kershaw. You know, we're not going to teach anybody to set up that way, but that's something that he did for himself that made him like Tim Lincecum. You know, like he came along and everyone's like, why is he throwing like that? Well, because he's nasty. That's why. You know, it's something that, you know, like when I talk about pitching, I talk about it as an art form. You know, there's brush strokes, there's things that you can teach that are mechanically the right way to do it, but it takes something within somebody to find their own master at it, you know, and, you know, you can teach somebody to paint with all the mechanics of it the same way, but what makes a Picasso different from a Michelangelo and a Rembrandt, you know, it's all within their own realm of creativity.
Yeah. Well, I agree with
Fantastic.
that. My favorite things in the world are when art and science kind of cross, when they intersect. Those are the best because
I think baseball is that.
I agree. So we've got John Pawlowski. Very excited to get involved with this conversation. But first, we got to get him caught in a rundown, as we do with every one of our guests. John, are you ready to get caught in the rundown?
I am ready to be caught in a rundown.
All right. First question is, what is your quest?
My quest, to be 100% honest with you, and it's why I got into coaching, is try to make players better. You know, I want to impact the players that we have, impact the coaches that I'm around, but every day I want to try to make people around me better.
That's awesome.
Love it. I have a hard-hitting question for you. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color, I'm going to say that orange, and the reason why is because Clemson gave me my biggest opportunity. I grew up in upstate New York, and we practiced outside one time before our first game, and Clemson gave me my big opportunity to play Division I college baseball, and gave me my first opportunity in college coaching. So certainly orange has to rank right up there at the top.
That's awesome. If the Yankees were a beverage, John, what would they be?
Yankees were a beverage. Well, my favorite is sweet tea. I have that's a sweet spot with me, man. And my wife keeps telling me, man, you drink too much sweet tea, but I can never get enough. I'm gonna have to go with sweet tea.
Nice.
I don't.
That's a good answer. It's a good answer.
It's great.
If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Here's the thing. I would say chocolate chip with a lot of swirls on it, because the game of baseball is a pretty special game. I like chocolate chip. I like coffee ice cream. Put a little swirl on it. Add a little fanfare to it. I'm going to say chocolate chip. I'm going to say chocolate. I wouldn't oppose coffee, though. I love coffee, but I do not drink coffee. Go figure that one. So
yeah, figure that.
I get you 100% on that. Yeah. Not a coffee.
Brad also doesn't drink coffee.
Really?
But
yeah.
The smell of it. Yeah.
I'm like the only office that, and around the place I've been that doesn't drink coffee, but I can sure throw down some coffee ice cream now. That's like that.
That's awesome. All right, our last question in the rundown, and Brad's very favorite: is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
I don't think so. I think we need baseball needed an icon to build the game around years ago. And I think if Babe Ruth was not put on a pedestal, where would the game be? I think he meant so much to the game. I know a lot of what we hear and what we read and what we see. I think baseball needed somebody to be put on that pedestal. And I think Babe Ruth was certainly the one who we all grew up knowing Babe Ruth and knowing what he could do. So I think he's in the right place.
That's awesome.
I like it.
I happen to agree with you.
Yeah. There's stuff that goes on with every player, and there's generational players, and Babe Ruth's more than a generational player. He is baseball. You look at what he did, and just to carry on that legacy and the tradition, it's pretty special. So I enjoy watching the stories and reading about him, and the stuff that he would do, on the field was pretty special back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. I've been arguing with Brig for a couple of years now that
5 maybe.
I don't know. It feels like some Titanic myth sometimes, but at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agreed. It is maybe a Titanic myth in some people's mind, your mind, whatever, but I think we needed somebody. Baseball needed somebody to latch on to carry the reins until a new generation, a new age came about. And, who's the next player? Who's the next one? I mean, we have these players that pop up in the decades, which we can point to, go, wow, that guy was special. That guy was special. And, I'm just thankful he started this whole merry-go-round of baseball. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's what it is today because of him. So
you're right.
I'm coming over, Brig. I'm coming over.
I knew you would.
little by little.
Yeah. It can't come from me, John. It's got to be you and everybody else, because he doesn't want to listen to my theories.
A little peer pressure, man. We got to get you to drink the Kool-Aid of Babe Ruth, man.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, first things first, congratulations on making it to the Green Jackets. That's super exciting. We're really, really happy for you, man. It's so cool.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, this opportunity, a lot of people want so much, and I would never give it back. I mean, I've been working so hard throughout college and, even in high school, I was trying to, reach a number, always trying to, see if I can get more attention. But, once ODU came around, it was a no-brainer.
It's awesome.
It's awesome, man. Well, hey, before we get too deep into things, we want to give you the same treatment we give all of our guests, and we want to give you what we call a rundown. Just going to ask you a couple quick getting to know you questions, and then we'll get into a little bit more of it since we don't have a whole lot of time. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, I'm going to start us off with our first question, the hardest hitting you'll ever get. What is your quest?
Quest as in what?
Anything. Quest
Whatever
in
you
life,
want.
quest in baseball, anything. What is your quest?
So, essentially for me, I look at it as, be where your feet are and, take the opportunities you get and run with them. So, I mean, this opportunity being with the Braves, I mean, as an undrafted free agent, I'm gonna take and use it as the best opportunity I can. Because I know a lot more people would want this opportunity. So I'm not gonna take it for granted. I'm gonna actually put in the work, develop what they want me to be, and I'm gonna be the best version of myself every time they call my name out there.
That's awesome, man.
Fantastic.
Next question for you: what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is red. So it's actually quite the irony in that is actually really funny.
That's awesome.
Works out.
Yeah.
If the Braves were a beverage, what would they be?
Ooh. For me personally, I think there'll be a vitamin water triple X. That's my go-to actually. So.
Yeah. And what about baseball? If it was an ice cream flavor, what would baseball be?
Oh, for sure, mint chocolate chip. That's the best flavor of all.
Yes.
Love it. I think we've gotten that one a lot. Haven't we,
We get
Briggs?
that
Is that
one a
one of the
lot.
popular
Yeah.
ones? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
a good
is.
one. That's a good choice.
Absolutely.
Okay, last question for you before we get into more baseball stuff. Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
I don't think so, just because of the fact that he's done so much for the game of baseball, and he's been a father figure for a lot of people, mentor for a lot. Like, I think his name will always be a staple in baseball. Like, he'll always be a part of it.
Yeah, man. I agree with you.
Could you strike him
Good
out?
answer.
Can
Yeah,
I
could you
him
strike
out?
out Babe Ruth? Yeah.
I think I could strike everyone out, but that's
Yeah,
what I
There
think.
you go. Yeah,
that's
what
the
we like
right
to hear.
answer. That's
Yeah.
exactly the right answer.
Yeah.
We got Dan Hadra here today. We're really excited to have Dan with us. But before we jump into him and everything we want to talk about, he's going to get caught in a rundown because that's what we do with everybody. Dan, are you ready to get caught in a rundown?
Here we go.
All right. First question. What is your quest?
Oh man, make an impact. Make an impact on kids. My dad brought me to this game when I was young, and I grew up with my brother, my older brother, playing, and he coaches. I got to see and play for some really incredible people. Guys from high school, Tommy Harrison, Charlie Dragum, Jeff Kinney at Hampton City College, who's just stepped down and moved on. And then here, and I coach with some great people, and then I coach with great guys here, and I just see how they make an impact and touch young kids all the way up to, if we have alumni come back and train, which is actually really cool because I think that's when you feel like, hey, we're doing something good here, and seeing guys come back. I just want to help be an example, I guess, pass on some stuff that I've been taught or I've learned. But I don't think I think it's kind of my avenue in which to impact young lives and move players, be better men, better dads, just good people, good dudes,
Yeah, it's great.
Love it. The hardest hitting question we have for you is, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Like that blue you have
Royal,
on, like
navy?
that royal?
I would go with navy. Royal's good, but I would go with navy before royal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And do you have a favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
Oh, man, dude. Okay, I was being kind, but now I don't have to be.
There we go. Because my whole family, my side, my parents or my brother's a Yankee fan. My wife is a diehard Red Sox fan, and she's raising our two boys to be Red Sox fans. I fought it. I fought it. I can't. But you know what? I get to watch ball with my boys at night, so I'll take it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What was it?
My
We had
dad's
a
a
listener.
Red
We had
Sox
somebody.
fan.
We had somebody on one time who called that it was like a mixed faith family,
Yeah.
something like that. Where
Interfaith or
Red Sox
something.
and interfaith family, something like
It
that.
could either be he doesn't like baseball at all, right? Or he likes the Red Sox. I'll take that he likes ball. So
Yeah.
some interesting conversations with a 6-year-old at our house every night.
Okay, so I'll tell you this really quick, and then we'll get back to the questions. But my dad's a Red Sox fan.
Okay.
And so make sense of that. I don't know. We went to Yankee Stadium to see the series last year in August. And he was all decked out, and I was all decked out, and we got razzed constantly. And then one of my kids is a Red Sox fan.
Okay.
And so now I'm getting it from both sides, and it's just obnoxious.
You just gotta wear it, man. Like, just wear it.
It's awesome. So for you, if the Yankees were a beverage, what would they be?
Oh man. I don't know. Probably I enjoy Gatorade. Like, it's probably the thing I drink the most. I have no other reason than the thing I have the most, being outside on the field all day. Gatorade, baseball, hydration kind of go together, I guess.
For sure.
Refreshing. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Must be refreshing to win every year. I'm a Mariners fan, so I don't know what it's like. If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
For sure, cookies and cream. It's my favorite flavor. It's the best thing. It's the go-to.
Yeah.
Such a good go-to.
It is a good go-to. Okay, last question. This is the one. This is the one.
Okay.
Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
No, absolutely not. It's absolutely not. I don't think, you can have this argument, the guy's so hard, whatever, do they throw as hard? I mean, the guy hit the ball, and he was arguably the best pitcher in the game in his time when he pitched. So it's like, Shohei Ohtani is incredible, but, I mean, Babe Ruth was there first, and I think he kind of set that standard, and he was the standard for however many years, and he's still arguably the standard.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think so.
How great of a pitcher could he have been if he never won a Cy Young? So,
oh, come on, Brad.
I'm just kidding. Yes. It wasn't even around, Greg.
He was only 3 years older than Cy anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I bet he lost less games than Cy Young, though, for sure.
Oh, I guarantee he did. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, so that's been a conversation Brig and I have been having for the last several years, because I made the bold and probably idiotic statement one time. We had a guest host on, and we were talking about overrated players, and I threw Babe Ruth out there just for fun. And ever since then, Brig and I've come around and said, okay, overrated is the wrong phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been saying possibly over romanticized. But the data has shown over the last several months that I am absolutely wrong in this case. But we will continue to ask it. Just
keep asking. It's a good one.
Yeah. We ask everybody, and Brad is losing big time.
Oh, I got out to a really big early lead. I'll be honest with you. And I was letting Brig know about it. But then now, since then, it's on a pretty bad losing streak.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like he said, he's a Mariners fan. He'll take his wins where he can get them.
I mean, he's got Griffey and Randy Johnson, right? Like,
that's right. We're holding on tight to those guys.
We've got Carlee Tressel here with us. We're really excited to have you. Carlee, how are you?
Doing great today, guys. Great to be here. Thanks for having me come into the family for today.
Yeah, well, you're in the family forever now. This is it. Welcome to a baseball family. Carlee, just like everybody else, is going to get caught in a rundown, and then we're going to get into who she is and why she's here and all that kind of stuff. So, Carlee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Question 1. What is your quest?
Oh, my quest is to make things that bring people together, and also maybe that connect people with themselves.
Ooh, we do together. I like that.
It's in the name.
Okay, and then I have the hardest hitting question you're going to get all day. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite color?
Periwinkle.
Oh, Perry, we've never heard that before.
I think we have, though, Brig. I think somebody said periwinkle once.
No.
Yes. We've gotten to one other time. I can't remember. We're going to have to go back and listen, because that's the
for
most
5 years
random.
I don't remember in 5 years having heard that even one time.
It was within like the last year and a half, I think. I'm pretty sure that we got periwinkle in the last year and a half.
Carlee, you have great taste in uniqueness.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I'd say just, a touch more purple than like the KC Royals, right? Just like a little more purple. Yeah. Okay.
Just on the one side. Okay, I like that. I like that. So you've been a fan of Cleveland's ball club.
Yes, I have.
Specifically, you said in the 90s, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Brad's
it was a good time to be
because
a fan.
he's a Mariners fan.
I hate the 95 team, by the way, just so you know.
I know.
My 9-year-old self was convinced that the Mariners were the team of destiny, and then the Indians came in and ruined my life.
Oh.
I will never forgive Jim Thome, Oral Hershiser, Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, any of those guys for the rest of my life.
Yes. See, I feel
Ever.
the same way about the Braves. I feel the same way about the Atlanta Braves, right?
I get
saw
it.
them on
Yeah.
PBS nonstop, and I was just like, I've had enough of these guys. Enough.
Yeah, we all grew up watching the Braves and the Cubs by force because that's all we could ever get on network
Exactly.
TV.
Exactly.
Okay, so if the 95 Indians were a beverage, what would they be?
Yeah, they'd be a Coke float. Yep. So scoop of vanilla ice cream dropped in a Coke Classic in a glass.
With the handle, right? Like a big,
Yeah,
like a Stein glass.
It's like a frosty mug.
Yeah. If we were organized enough, we'd get it in the freezer ahead of time.
That's a tall order.
It's a tall order.
Anybody gets really.
Okay.
Okay, if baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be? I mean, we've touched on ice cream, but if baseball itself was a flavor, what would it be?
Ooh, if baseball were an ice cream flavor. Wow. Rainbow sherbet.
Oh.
Which there was a long debate. I heard a debate recently. Is it sherbet or sherbert? And I don't know. Sherbet is where I'm landing, but that might make some people angry. I don't know.
I prefer sherbet.
Is it a regional
Yeah.
thing?
Maybe.
I don't, because we always said sherbet. I grew up in Utah where it was sherbet.
Okay. Northeast Ohio, sherbet.
I don't
but
actually care because I don't like
No.
ice cream. So
It's unreal.
That's just Brad always gives me garbage because I don't like ice cream.
Rick doesn't like anything that tastes good. He's all about bitter. And so that's what I give him a hard time about.
Carlee, you read my story, so you know it makes a lot of sense.
I'm convinced he doesn't even have taste buds.
He's like happy and light. No thanks. I'm not.
Yeah,
exactly right.
But Brad's stuck in the yummy phase, so it's
yeah.
he
It
wants
evens
ketchup.
out. Like that's part of what makes this show work is that it really evens out and we meet in the middle somehow sometimes. So.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Okay, last question. It's kind of our favorite. In your opinion, is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
Oh wow. No. I think he's just the right amount romanticized. And may I say, there's a book written by Bill Bryson in which Babe Ruth, do you know this book?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna get the year wrong, but it's like 1928 maybe. But beautiful book that fictionalized Babe Ruth for me in a way that I feel like made me appreciate him differently.
Yeah.
And I may have answered that question differently before I read that book.
That's fabulous. The book is called hold on, I just had it. My Father, Babe Ruth, and Me. Is that the one? Or One Summer America?
Yeah, One
He's
Summer.
got a couple.
Yeah.
One Summer America, 1927.
1927. Okay, I was a year off. Yep. That one, that was pretty incredible. That was incredible. Babe Ruth was a big figure in that, but it was everything that was happening around that time.
That's cool. I've heard of the book. I've not read it yet, but we'll have to add it.
So that's one of the things though, is that I always look at Babe Ruth like we get like a fictional, like now in our time, we get a fictionalized version of Babe Ruth.
Yes.
And that's been my big argument is that you had sports writers who, yes, were seeing something they'd never seen before, but they had to convey that message to their readers and it was sensationalized. That if you were reading what the sports writers wrote, you would have thought Babe Ruth was 6'6", bulletproof and could leap a tall building in a single bound, right?
Yeah.
Could hit a baseball a quarter mile, but like I felt like that's a lot of the romanticizing that we get, and that's why I feel that way. But then having seen Shohei Ohtani, it's like he's 6'6", bulletproof, and could definitely leap a tall building in a single bound. So maybe they're right. I don't know.
Pretty sure they're right, Brad. So this argument goes back and forth, and I'm a Babe Ruth romantic, and he thinks he's a little too much, too inflated. But
I will say that I understand and I appreciate the fact that Babe Ruth did change the game because I don't want bounce home runs, nor do I want a dead baseball. So
correct.
Yeah.
We got CJ Suarez here with us. How are you today, CJ?
I'm doing great. Excited to get on here and talk with you guys.
Yeah, man. We're excited to have you. But before we jump into anything, as we always do, we're going to get you caught in a rundown. We've got a handful of questions that we ask everybody. And if you're ready, I got the first question.
Shoot.
What's your quest?
That's a deep question right there. I would say, impacting lives, impacting young men. I think that's really why I got into baseball. When I was younger, I more or less thought like, hey, I think coaching baseball as a job is the coolest job in the world. Obviously I want to win a lot of games, and then, 2 years into this thing, I'm like, we're making a way bigger impact on young men than just winning baseball games. And I think that's a big part of it all.
That's awesome. That's another Ted Lasso reference, Brig, just so you know.
Yep. Yeah,
because that's one of the things he says, not about winning. It's about helping these men become the best version of themselves. And I love it, man. We talked a lot about Ted Lasso the other day with our guest. I have the next question for you. It's the hardest one you're ever going to get. What is your favorite color?
Right now, my favorite color is blue. So, go Black Bears, go blue. I'll tell you, like growing up, my favorite color definitely had to be green. My high school that I went to is Abington High School in Massachusetts. There's a lot of rich tradition there. It's the green wave. I bleed green. I love, going back and talking to the athletic director at Abington High School and just giving back in any way I can. But, right now, favorite color is blue.
Yeah,
I can dig it. We were talking before, like hopefully he gets the blue memo. Apparently,
yeah, we got the blue memo
today.
All right. So favorite baseball team. Who's your favorite baseball team?
Boston Red Sox.
I knew you were going to say that. All right. So if the Red Sox were a beverage, what would it be?
Ooh, I'd probably say I'd probably have to go with an ice cold beer because there's nothing better than an ice cold beer at Fenway Park, on a summer night. Obviously for the younger age group, I'd probably say, a nice ice cold Diet Coke.
Yeah. Nice. Are we talking cheap beer? Is this expensive beer? What kind of, is it bougie?
It's just a, local ballpark beer, nothing crazy. Something you can easily get anywhere. And, but it tastes that much better at Fenway Park in July or June.
Beauty.
That's what I was going to say. Is there such thing as cheap beer at Fenway? Period.
No, nothing. Nothing's cheap there. The bottle of water's not cheap either.
Yeah.
No, the bottle of water at any ball game for less than like $15 these days.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
I'd have to go chocolate chip. The game of baseball is so simple, but the small things add up. And, at some places just can't perfect a good chocolate chip ice cream. And I think that's the greatest part of our game is it's a simple game. You score more runs, you win, but it's never going to be perfect. And that's why I went with chocolate chip. It's simple, it's basic, but there's a lot that goes into it still.
It's true. And it is hard to get right. It's easy to get wrong.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. What is one unpopular baseball opinion that you have?
Unpopular baseball opinion I have. That's a tough question right there. I'd have to probably say, probably Barry Bonds is the best player of all time. That's probably mine. I think a lot of people look down on the fact that, he used some performance enhancing drugs but that was during that era. And I think baseball constantly is evolving and there's constant eras, so in his era just happened to be the PED era, and there's a lot more people that I think were utilizing those, but still not even close to the quality of player Barry Bonds ever was.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Brig actually did a deep dive on this. What was it, last year, I think, about this?
Yeah,
like
at some point.
and like what his career might have looked like if he hadn't ever touched it. And it's like he would have been a Hall of Famer and probably the best player in baseball at the time anyway. But then, like you said, like you level the playing field with him and some of his peers who were astronomical, and it's like he was still that much better than everybody.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's bonkers to think about.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. It's pretty interesting.
Numbers never lie. That's the best part of our game, right? Like you know, it's and I think, you know, especially with today's game of like how analytical everything is, you know, that there's still human effect, but you know, ERA is still your ERA, and you know, there's no such thing as a 10 ERA being good. And I think that's the greatest part of our game is how, you know, numbers matter.
Yeah.
Tells you a lot. Okay, I have the last question for you. And I want to know, is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
I don't think so. I think Babe Ruth was special in his time. You know, a lot of people have to say, you know, would he be good in today's game? You know, it's tough to say, but you know, times change, times evolve. You know, and I think that's kind of, people still talk about him in today's game, and I think that's special. I think you go to a little league ballpark and kids know who, you know, he is, and you know, our players may not even know who played for the Red Sox last night, but I think they know exactly who that is, and you know, I don't think he's over romanticized at all.
Yes.
I'm coming around,
Brad.
Greg. I'm coming around.
You keep saying that, but I haven't seen you around this corner in a while.
I still have my heels dug in on certain points, Brig. The old-timey sports writer, I have a hard time getting over. But he's right. Everybody knows who Babe Ruth is. He's a transcendent personality. And I just wish that there'd be somebody in the game right now. Like Ohtani is a good one. Aaron Judge was on Paw Patrol, for crying out loud. Like,
yeah, he
that
was
feels
on
like a
Paw
pretty
Patrol.
transcendent person, right? But I just don't know if we're talking about Judge in 100 years, you know? So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's awesome, though.
Special player.
That's awesome.
Special
Yeah.
player.
I agree. I've been telling Brad for years. I'm like, it's not. There's nothing overly about it.
No.
Super excited to bring you a conversation with Jeff Rodimer. He's the co-author of this terrific book, Shadows of Glory, which we will be getting into. Jeff, quick question. How are you today?
I'm doing great, guys. And again, you know, what could be better than the postseason? So we got games all day yesterday. My eyes are a little bit bleary, but the fun is that we get to do it all over again today.
Did you have to take a halftime halfway through the day? I know I did. I took a quick 20-minute power nap halftime and then got back into it. Did anybody else have to do that?
Well, I just took a break for dinner. Being on the East Coast, I had just enough of a break between the Mets game and then the Padres game. So I kind of flushed out then, relaxed a little bit, recharged, and then stayed up until the end.
Yep, that's what I did. I'm on the East Coast as well. It's exactly how it went for me. All right, baseball family, just like we do with everybody else, we're going to get Jeff caught in a rundown. Jeff, first question for you. What is your quest?
Well, to spread the word about this book and the fact that a lot of people look at the World Series today, and especially younger fans, as sort of this kind of prepackaged, highly polished Madison Avenue type event. And every network's got a panel of experts and analysts just grinding away at every little thing, you know, Turner Broadcasting, ESPN, Fox, the MLB channel. So hardly a thing gets by anybody these days, but it wasn't always that way. And so, you know, we're here to tell the stories that maybe people have forgotten about, or maybe that were a little underreported. In many cases that took place so long ago, all the players are gone and perhaps forgotten. But our quest is very much like your own show. Is like we want to bring people together to talk about stuff that, you know, some readers might say, holy crap, did that actually happen during the World Series? And if we've done that, then for us, our quest has been accomplished.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. I have the hardest hitting question you're going to get today. What is your favorite color?
I thought you were going to ask what's my favorite team, but it is blue. Yankee blue, as it turns out.
Yeah. Don't worry. We're going to get into your favorite team right now, because if the Yankees were a beverage, Jeff, what would they be?
I'd have to say that they're a stout, full-bodied, but you never. It always turns out to taste a little bit different from what it looks. And Yankee fans know what I'm talking about. The Yankees' fortunes really look good until you start peeling back the onion, and then you never know what you're going to get, especially in the last few years in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think an onion
We're
is
on
the
rocky
perfect way to
ground right
describe
now.
it this year too. All right. If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Well, baseball has such a wide appeal. I think it's got to be chocolate. You know, I'd go for one of the niche things like a Ben and Jerry's, but I think baseball's appeal is too broad just to, winnow it down to something like Cherry Garcia. So I'm going to go with chocolate.
Nice. Okay, now I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In your opinion, is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
That's a great question. I don't think so, and the reason is because he played so long ago, and there is so much written history, but not necessarily visual or audio history, that you almost can't over romanticize the character that he was. And he was so consequential to the game. There's, beyond the statistics, and we can argue whether it was in a different era and doesn't stand up to, the Barry Bonds numbers or even the Aaron Judge numbers or Ohtani. There's just no comparison, and he stood alone. He just literally stood alone. You can argue all you want about current day versus past day, but in his time, there was just nothing like him.
Fair
facts.
Argument. Like it. And one thing is, I've been telling Brig this too lately, is that because that's my question, is because for a long time I felt like he was, but the more and more we see from Ohtani, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why the sports writers were building him up to be this titan, because they literally had never seen anything like it before. So how else do you describe it? How do you describe an airplane if you've never seen one before? Right? It's a dragon. Something, like
dragon.
So just, in the whole 125 years of the modern game, you can narrow it down to only two guys that have ever done this, and it doesn't matter who you decide is better in your own opinion. There's only two guys that have done it to this level. It's unbelievable what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time we have one of our videos that talks about Ohtani, I don't describe him as a DH pitcher or two-way player. I always put LA Dodgers unicorn Shohei Ohtani. Because I feel like that's what he is.
Well, I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for baseball that he's made it to an organization that's going to get him to the playoffs. I would have hated to have seen his career go the way of Mike Trout out in California and just not get into the promised land and seeing the prime years of his career spent, with a second division team. It's great for baseball to have this.
100%.
It is.
That's
Absolutely.
well said. And Mike Trout is the ideal comparison. Happens to be an adjacent comparison, which is a shame.
That's the thing that's funny, though. You see all those posts like, man, could you imagine if Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and Albert Pujols were on the same team together? That team would win like 130 games. Imagine.
Yeah, imagine.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, yeah.